Welcome to the New Lighter Life Finance channel. Today I'd like to discuss with you emotions and money. So there are a lot of financial gurus, and I mean that in the best way possible. There's a lot of good people out there that offer a lot of tools and strategies to get out of financial troubles, to get out of debt. But not a lot talk about the emotions that go behind the reason why we get into debt. I like to look at these tools which I like to teach the tools too, because I think they're great. We all need tools to get the job done. But I like to use, for an example, a car. A car is a tool, but if you don't know how to drive it, or you're afraid to drive, or you lack confidence, that tool becomes useless to you. So not many people deal with the root of the financial struggles, and that root is emotions and mindset. Emotions and mindset play a huge part in how you deal with money and the amount of debt you get into. I just first want to recognize that our emotions are good and they're genuine. But I also like to share with you that our emotions can somewhat be controlled. For an example, what we think about produces emotions, or memories or music produces emotions. So if I'll give you an example, my daughter, for my 52nd birthday, which was last month, my oldest daughter, one of her gifts was she came to me and played the songs. There's like 5 songs that remind her of me, and it was a sweet gift. I really enjoyed it. But what it produced in her when this music came on, she can go from any other state of emotion to start crying out of gratitude for me by playing one song. It's amazing the amount or how we can switch our emotions just like that. So she played the song. She started to tear up. It was sweet. I really enjoyed it. I was talking to my oldest son the other day, about how what we think about produces emotions. And I'll show you an example. My daughter was up in the kitchen, and we have a Sonos here, so I put one of the songs that really that makes her cry when she hears it. I put that song on, and her immediate reaction was to start to tear up. As we were just playing with her, I shut it off right away. I wasn't trying to torture her or anything, but it was interesting. It was a good case study into how our emotions can change just like that, whether it be through music, through what somebody says to us, our internal dialogue in our head, what we believe about ourselves. And we could be feeling one way, and then maybe we're at work and something distracts us, and then all of a sudden now that feeling leaves. So it's a real thing. There's a great book out there. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. It's an excellent book on this subject, not necessarily with money, but with how we think and what we believe in our heart concerning us or concerning different things like money. So, another example of what we think about, how it produces emotions. You could be having a great day, and someone comments to you negatively on your shoes, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh man, they don't like my shoes. Oh, my shoes are ugly. Oh, I gotta go change them. Oh, and you start to feel a certain way about that. So our feelings and our emotions and what we believe about money will produce those feelings and emotions. Also, experiences and teaching forms emotions. So what we've been taught or what we've experienced forms emotions. Maybe you grew up without money, and you have a scarcity mindset. And that all scarcity mindset is the belief that money is limited, and there's maybe not enough to go around. So you have to hoard your money. You have to save it. You have to do whatever it takes because there's not enough, which is simply untrue. Another example of like teaching, even if it may not just be a formal teaching, it could be something that your family has taught just by action. So like my wife's family, they don't, they never talk about money. And so when my wife and but my family, we talk about everything. We talk about money. It doesn't matter. So when my wife and I first got married, um, and we had to talk about money, it was producing feelings in her that there's something wrong here. We shouldn't be talking about this. Was a very uncomfortable conversation with her. You could have had an experience in losing money in the stock market and real estate, and in some area of your life you lost money. Maybe you made a bad decision somewhere, and so that produced a feeling inside of you, and then produced the way you think or feel about money. Um, Here's another way: experiencing money, spending money, and feeling good with it. So just like with maybe sweets, maybe a piece of cake, and how you feel good after you eat the piece of cake, or maybe you go and gamble and you feel great about you winning money, and then well, vice versa though too. You could feel horrible about losing money gambling. So those are experiences that have formed our belief about money and what we think about money. So I'm going to discuss like three major emotions that people feel concerning money. The first one would be fear. Well, the three are fear, guilt, and shame. So the first one's fear. What is the real fear when it comes to money? Well, that could be, like I said earlier, losing it. You lose money, so you lose it in the stock market, real estate, gambling, whatever it is, through a bad decision that you made. For an example of stock market, you notice, I used to trade a lot of stocks and I do investing, and uh, there's a phenomenon that happens that when the stock market is selling off, most people end up selling almost or getting out of the stock market almost when it's at bottom. So they end up losing money on both ends, because then they don't get in because they're afraid it's going to turn around and go back down on them again. They don't get in until it's almost at the top. So this is all because of fear of losing the money. You could lose a job. That's a real fear. But is it a real fear? I mean, if your job is secure and if it's secure, then having that fear is an irrational fear of losing the job. But it could be a real fear for people. Not having enough for emergencies could be another. Not enough to retire. These are all fears that have to do with money. The fear of making a mistake, or making the wrong decision, or even making the right decision, right? That causes people to be paralyzed and they can't move forward. That could be in investing or purchasing a large ticket item. Mistakes and decision making, whether you make the right one or you make the wrong one, mistakes are good. I think we have to reframe how we look at mistakes. Mistakes are good if you learn from it. That's the point. You have to learn from it. People don't learn. When they don't learn, they end up in a fear loop. If they keep making the same mistake over and over again, it just keeps spiraling down, and it gets more and more emotional, and more that mistake becomes who you are. Fear controls us. It causes us to freeze. It causes us to do nothing and procrastinate. It causes us to make poor decisions. And it causes us to avoid. We want to avoid any pain at all when it comes to money because of fear. There's also another fear that I think is more common than not, and that is FOMO, the fear of missing out. You see that in crypto or real estate when there's a new crypto coin that comes out, or a new stock comes out, and people are piling into it, and you get the fear of missing out by not piling into it too. The fear of missing a concert or an event. The fear of missing out on the new tech gadget, or trips or vacations, or getting in on investing on a ground floor business idea. Some other ones are keeping up with peers and the latest trends. You You want to be like your friends. You want to have the things your friends have, and so you have a fear of missing out on that. Social media drives that fear of missing out by with people on their travel channels and in buying courses, and marketers actually feed on the fear of missing out, and we see it all over the place. The sale ends now. You have 5 minutes left. We were just getting a hotel for our cruise coming up. We're going to Orlando, Florida to get on the cruise. We had to stay a couple nights in Orlando, and there's a little banner at the bottom saying there's only 2 rooms left, or the sale ends in 5 minutes, and then it'll be a countdown. It's all to produce a fear of missing out on the thing that they want you to purchase. So how do we defeat fear? Just the basic, like, just because you were taught or you experienced something negative in the past with money, it doesn't mean it'll happen again. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen again. We need to learn from our mistakes, and at times we need to seek professional help. If you have like a very beginner basic understanding of investing your money, of course that's going to cause fear. But spend the extra time or the extra money to go and seek professional help from somebody that you trust, or somebody that's got good reviews, whatever. Find somebody to help you with making those decisions. So the first one was fear, and then we have guilt and shame. So guilt is guilt focuses on actions. So like, I made a bad decision. That would be guilt. You would feel guilt after doing that. Guilt can be good, again, if you learn from it. Guilt often drives people to overspend. I'll give you an example. Like, parents feel guilty for not spending time with their kids, so then they go overspend on them for Christmas or their birthdays, or they just start giving them gifts. Guilt, some may regret purchases, and then they spend more to escape the negative feelings. That one's kind of odd to me, but I asked my wife, I'm like, is this real? And she's like, yeah, that's real. So spending to escape the regret of making a purchase is a real thing. Guilt sometimes leads to avoidance. You avoid paying bills. You ignore mounting debt. You don't check your bank statements. You basically stick your head in the sand. Guilt can lead to overworking. You end up working long hours to make up for the financial mistakes that you've made. You end up neglecting yourself and your relationships just to earn more money. When we're operating in guilt, we need to take a step back. We need to actually be able to forgive ourselves, because here's the reality: everybody makes mistakes. Learn from the mistakes, forgive yourself, and move on. Guilt, we need to act instead of avoiding. So make steps to fix, go back to learn from it, make a different decision next time, and instead of avoiding it, instead of just sticking your head in the sand. And we got to remember, guilt thrives on inaction, and progress disrupts its power. So if we're going to be inactive and not do anything to change that, guilt is going to thrive in that environment. We also need to set boundaries. Like, I've had people tell me that they feel guilty because their parents want to buy something and they don't have the credit score to do it, and so the son or daughter feels guilted into co-signing, and that's just flat out wrong to do that to your son or daughter, but it happens quite a bit. So set boundaries with that. Don't be a co-signer. Don't go into debt because you feel guilty about you're not spending enough time with your kids, like in my example earlier, or there's a multitude of reasons why. So let's move on to the last one. The last one is shame. So unlike guilt, where guilt focuses on I made a bad decision, shame focuses on your identity. It says I am bad with money. So there's a difference there between shame and guilt. So shame focuses on identity. I'm bad with money. If you believe this, you'll never be good with money. How can you be good with money if you have a firm belief that I am bad with money? Instead of making a mistake, that mistake becomes who you are. It's hard for me to understand this because I don't feel much shame for money, but concerning money. Um, I know that's out there because shame is a big feeling, that a big emotion that comes upon a lot of people. So some of the things that people do when they are feeling shame is they avoid, you know, they hide their financial difficulties from other people. Of course you would, right? You don't want to reinforce or think you're reinforcing in other people's minds how bad you are with money. They'll avoid asking for help or advice because they fear judgment from other people. They'll ignore money problems, like they'll avoid opening bills, checking their checking account to balance their accounts. It just reminds them that they are, again, bad with money. They also overcompensate. So feeling inadequate, people often overspend to maintain an appearance of stability. So they overcompensate for how they're feeling and for the shame that they're feeling. They buy luxury items to prove that they're successful. Fear, guilt, and shame, they can all intertwine with each other too. You know, guilt and shame are closely related. So the only way to get over these and to be able to see money in a new way is by, you know, sometimes seeking help, taking action, and just realizing fear a lot of the times, an acronym for fear is false expectations appearing real. So a lot of the time fear, if we take time to evaluate why we fear something concerning our financial situation, we're going to find that it's an irrational fear. It's a false expectation of something happening that's appearing real, but it really isn't real. I hope that helps you guys kind of understand the feelings, what's going on in the mind and in the heart, and are able to take steps to overcome these things and to help you get financially stable. And then use the tools that a lot of people are sharing with you. Use those in a way that will make you financially successful. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for the time that you spent watching it. If you liked it or if you found value, please like and subscribe. Have a great day.